Hello, hello. I'm Patrick White. Welcome to The Play That Changed Your Life. This is the podcast about theater and about life-changing theater. I have two fantastic guests here today. Evan Jones, who is currently the president at Albany Civic Theater. Hello, Evan.
Hello, sir.
And Colleen Lovett, who is soon to be appearing in The Sound Inside by Adam Rapp, produced by Creative License, directed by Aaron Holbritter at the Cahoes Music Hall. Hello, Colleen.
Hello.
We've had a great time chatting in our warm-up as everything got said here, and hopefully we haven't talked ourselves out. I created this podcast just to have more theater conversation in the area, and I think we fulfilled our mission so far this morning. Let's get started. I asked what's on everyone's mind, and Evan responded. The Broadway world has announced nominations for their annual awards, and it's all over social media, Facebook primarily.
Yep.
And BroadwayWorld.com is a website, and they have a category, or they have a separate listings, and I think we're Central New York.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I haven't seen the list. I somehow got into it was asking for my credit card, so I don't know where.
Wrong link.
Yeah. Different website.
Yeah.
Because there were ads embedded.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were
That's like, I
definitely,
don't have for this.
the website itself has a lot of pop-up ads, but I didn't have to put in any credit card
Okay.
info.
There were some clicky things. Yeah, you know.
Good
Call
to
your
know.
bank.
Yes. So you take over the conversation while I get on the phone with Citizens Bank and find out what I've ordered. Hopefully it's Merrily tickets, you know. So Evan, what's on the list?
Well, it's everything. So it's people can nominate other people. They have like a nomination selection process. So I can go on and say, I want to nominate Colleen for this play, and I want to nominate Patrick for this play. And then they kind of collect it all. And I don't know if they eliminate any or if they just combine some, but they say, here's the list of, 40 nominees, depending on how many people get chosen. And then you log on and you choose your one vote for each category, and there's like 40 categories, and each category has professional and non-professional. So,
Excellent.
Yeah.
So are nominations still going on?
The nomination list just came out yesterday at the time of recording this. So people can go on and vote for whatever nominee that they
Right.
want to
But
choose.
can they still nominate someone?
No, that ended.
That is closed.
That is closed.
And so there are a lot of people
Yeah.
in each category, right?
Right. Because it's not just our community.
Right.
It's
Right.
it's
Central New York.
It's Oneana, and
Sure.
it's all the way out there. So there's a lot of people in each category. I mean, like sound design and set design has a much shorter list than performers do. But yeah, there's a lot of people.
So this is sweet, right? I mean, fairly, people can nominate shows that they haven't seen. They can vote on shows that they haven't seen, and we're not, it's not a judgment or there's a, the winner is not necessarily the greatest piece of theater.
Right.
We're
It's very
not
subjective. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so much of it's going to be a popularity contest,
Right.
Right.
not necessarily based on the work, but more based
Who
on
can get the most votes?
the person, or
Right.
I know me as president of Albany Civic Theater, it's a good advertising tool to say,
Sure.
our production of American Buffalo was nominated for these Broadway awards,
Sure. And, I have to see this list because I understand Harbinger's got a few nominations.
Yes, a number.
But I'm sort of like, I don't know if I believe in this.
Right.
So,
right.
so I'm like, I don't know. I'm like,
Well, it doesn't hurt,
yeah. It's harmless. And it is a way to celebrate theater,
Absolutely.
which I'm all about, so
I feel that way about Tanis too.
Tanis.
Like you don't and I've been lucky to have been awarded,
Right.
over the years for different things, and can it be heavily subjective? Sure, but it's always an honor.
Right.
It's always an honor to just have, get that recognition, because we put so much time and such a big part of our lives go into theater,
Right.
and it's nice to just
I mean, people like hearing good things about themselves.
yeah, that too.
And for those who don't know, TANIS is the Theater Association of New York State, and they are primarily, their mission is to uplift amateur theater within the state. And they have roving adjudicators who you pay a fee, and they come and adjudicate your show and give you feedback on what they saw and how to improve. And then once a year, they have a festival, usually in central New York, Auburn, places like that. And it's, you spend a weekend with 100 other theater enthusiasts, and you do play after play after play. And, one of the fun things about Tanis Festival is that you have to design your set so that it can be set up in 15 minutes or something
Right.
crazy,
Yep.
and struck as well. And they have seminars and things like that.
It's nice.
Both these instances you mentioned as a selling tool, and also the Academy Awards was invented as a selling tool. It was put together by the producers as marketing, and Tanis, I kind of feel both of these are after the fact. Like no one can once Buried Child wins Best Play, no one can go and say, "Oh, we have to catch Buried Child."
Right.
Or they can say that,
Right,
but
right, right.
unfortunately, that's no longer available. And tennis awards, or the adjudication, I always felt, why don't you adjudicate in the opening weekend
And
and get us those results by Monday or Tuesday,
Right.
so I can use it as a selling tool for our closing weekend?
Yeah. It's like the most you can get out of it is, yes, Colleen won the Broadway World Award for this role, and now she's going to be in this play
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
up,
Right.
So you might want to see her because obviously she's talented because she just won this award.
Yeah,
That's kind of the most you get out of it, really.
yeah. I guess I just need to get over myself.
Never.
Yes,
Don't change.
Now, and I just thought of this morning, is that theater was sort of like the first theater that was invented. Were in these Greek community festivals, which were play competitions. So Euripides and Medea were at their Tanis festivals.
Yep. Oh, I like that.
Yeah, and trashing their Holiday Inn, and that's where we get where theater started, was at a tennis festival.
I love it.
Excellent. So best wishes on all your nominations and vote getting. And it is cool to see people pop in and have reminders of all the theater that's gone on in the past year. That's crazy. That's great stuff. Which sort of lights me up, because I have this idea for a theater festival.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Breaking news?
I wanted. I kind of yabber on about it every now and then. A Capital Region Theater Festival, and I kind of feel like I have to get a move on if I want to do it next September.
Mm-hmm.
But a weekend where we can all get together, have a great party, do a lot of performances, plays, musicals,
Workshops?
seminars, improv classes, karaoke.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Yeah, great.
It's like
Thanks.
Woodstock.
Woodstock,
For
yeah.
Capital Region Theater.
Yeah, well, with Capital Region Theater, you have to come up with a stock name.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I'm just putting it out there.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're both recruited to come on board.
All right.
Well, I can't think of two better people to have on
Yeah.
board, personally.
Excellent. So, what else do we have percolating in the area? We were talking about college theater, and there are a bunch of college productions. I've seen a few in the past month or so. Colleen, where did you go to school? You didn't do theater.
No, I didn't. I was a political science major at SUNY Albany.
There's nothing to be ashamed of.
I'm deeply
Where?
ashamed.
At Albany?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. And you said you came to theater later.
Yeah, I came to it. Friends of mine through my tech community. I work in technology. We're doing film stuff, and I was an extra in Tennyson Bardwell's Dorian Gray. Does that ring a bell? That's like,
Yeah, sure.
right, from 2001 maybe. And I just kind of got the acting bug. I was already a Shakespeare fan, and read a lot of the plays and seen theater, but I was never like an actor. And I loved it, and I did more film stuff at the beginning, independent film, and then I got my first like community theater play at Schenectady Civic, the Triangle Factory Fire Project in 2007, and I was hooked. I was like, I get to do so much acting because film is very in short films I love doing film. And great experience, but you're always stopping and starting.
Yeah, it's a lot of waiting.
And like I even get to act during rehearsals. Like I really just fell in love with it.
That's
and
awesome.
I
Who
didn't stop.
directed that?
That was Richard Rowe.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And
an unusual piece, right? It's all first-hand accounts and monologues and historical.
Exactly. I was
Neat.
actor D.
Neat.
There was
That's the best
there's
part.
actor A, B, C, and D. And yes, you had like I had like three or four different roles, and yes, it's all like I believe it's all source material.
Yep.
So like Rose Schneiderman was one of my characters, and she was instrumental in getting the first garment workers unions for women started, which came out of the factory fire, because they were trapped in there, those exploited workers. So I got to give her famous speech, and and then the others were testimonies from the trial that followed. So yeah, it was great. I loved it, and I did watch a DVD of myself doing that. I hate watching it. And like, I was so new to it. Yeah. Like, my feet didn't stop moving. Like, nail that woman's feet to the floor. Yeah. You just see how.
Yeah, I won't watch.
But one of my favorite things about that show was the costumes. Do you? I don't know if she's still in the area. Is it Jennifer's?
Jennifer Sperano.
She's love
in Cleveland.
She built our costumes from scratch using historical patterns. She made the women. She made us corsets. Yeah. And she made us shirtwaists, and we had historically accurate clothing. And I was in heaven.
Yeah, she's a genius.
She did costumes for Clybourne Park that we were in. Yep. She was great.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a genius.
So talented.
Very meticulous, detailed.
Yeah.
Yeah, she lives in Cleveland, which has a great theater community. But, Chris tried to get her for Mrs. Packard, but she was too busy.
Yeah, she commutes a lot. Like, she'll come.
Yeah,
for
she
things,
did Clybourne Park.
I think she was commuting back then, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah? During Triangle?
Yeah, for part of it.
Wow.
I seem to recall her. It was like related to her work that they had like a plane, a shuttle back and forth.
The Cleveland to Albany.
The Cleveland to Albany theater shuttle.
Right.
Right.
We need it. So, Evan, Colleen mentioned Albany, which is where we met.
Yes, it is.
Doing an adaptation of Great Expectations by great Chad Larrabee. And what was your part?
I played the lawyer in it's Mr. Jaggers in Great Expectations.
Yes.
The name was different in our
Yes.
production.
Yes, that was Magwitch.
Yes, yeah.
Yes. Which I said at the audition. He started to explain who I was, the prison escapee, and I was like, yeah, Magwitch. He goes, oh, you know the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that was great fun. Albany, and we had so many people there that are still in the community working. John Schnurr, Charlie Owens,
Yeah.
Kristen Youngblood. That was a blast.
It was a really great class. I feel very fortunate to go there when I went there.
Yeah.
Because I went there, I started at SUNY Albany a couple years after high school because I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Sure.
And then I was into playwriting and screenwriting mostly because I was the movie guy at that time. And I just looked up, screenwriting Albany classes, and I saw SUNY Albany had screenwriting class available. So I said, all right. So I went there, theater major, and then, you had to take an acting class as your elective. And I was always interested in performing, but I never really considered it seriously. But taking these classes, I was like, oh, I felt like I had something there. I said, I think I've got some kind of talent in this department. So my writing kind of went to the side and the acting kind of took over. And then when we met, I think was after my first semester, maybe my first year at SUNY Albany, was when Great Expectations happened. And that was my first play that I did with them, and first play that I had done since, I don't know, 4th grade.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was a crazy. And that set,
Yeah.
Miss Havisham had this house.
Oh, okay.
2 stories
And that was,
Gotta be fun.
on wheels.
and
Oh my goodness.
it rolled down stage. Like the opening scene was at the graveyard, and there was just like a little marker in the 1,000-seat, Albany, just like a pin spot on Jared and I, and then it moved to Magwitch's, and this boat
Yeah.
started coming down towards the audience. It was impressive.
Yeah.
There were like 10 people moving it.
I was one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, that was an awesome set. Yeah. So in the area, and we've got a lot of college students, and some that stick around, and some that are from here. But there are 8 great college programs, at least. Capital Region has 60 of these groups of theaters, amateur theaters, and everyone's starting a theater. But we also have this great college and university programs in the area. I was talking before we started about Union College, did a production of Floridita, My Love, and I think his name is Jorge Ramos, directed it, and he appeared in its premiere in New York City, but he brought it up to Union College 10 years later, and he produced it. And it's about this woman who's a waitress in, the Upper West Side or Harlem, and she's at the 1 train, and they built a subway stop with a platform, and the train tracks run down the middle, audience seated on 2 sides, and she's about to kill herself, and then the play takes off into her imagination and all the things that she's encountered in her life as a waitress and as a woman, and immigrant, and it was just wild and fantastic.
Great play.
Yeah. And Evan and I caught Glass Menagerie at his alma mater a couple weeks ago.
Yep, they rolled out the red carpet for me.
Yeah, right this way, sir.
Yes, yeah. But this is the bathroom.
The alumni seating. Yes. Yeah, so what'd you think of that Glass Menagerie?
It was good, So when I was the last theater class at SUNY Albany before they cut the program back in
Right.
2012 or 13 or whenever that was. So it slowly came back in the subsequent years. So it was really nice for me to go there and see it And you know, a couple years ago we saw Streetcar there as well. But it was really nice to go there and see a full theater, because even when I was a student there, the theater wasn't necessarily full. You know, I did Circle Mirror Transformation in the Arena Theater, and we had empty seats here and there, but it was mostly full. We went on opening night, which was on a Wednesday, I think, which was fun. The performers were good. I thought Jewel as Amanda was really great.
Jewel Wynant.
Yeah, really, really, really good performance.
Yeah.
But it was nice. And, you know, Glass Menagerie is one of the, I don't know, great plays ever. So it's great to see, you know, a classic work like that done well.
Yeah, and they had a different staging. It was done in the Arena Theater with in the round. I also saw up at Skidmore, they have directing students. So this was directed and devised by a student, and I'm not even going to try. I can't. Jared Klein, I think that's his name. That might be his name. I might have remembered it. He did this piece called Remaking, and it was based on Charles Mee's writing, which the only other piece I've seen by Charles Mee has been at Skidmore College, so they're big on Charles Mee. But he's an avant-garde, giant in American theater, but not commercially produced. And this was a bunch of vignettes and really cleverly staged, and I think Jared did the lighting design as well. And it was in this black box theater, and it was crazy inventive and fun and just filled with theatrical imagination. So that was awesome. And I think there's a couple others coming up. Our friend Jean-Remy Monet is directing Clyde's at Albany. And Sandy Boynton, who's been on the show, is directing Enemy of the People.
Yeah.
And there's another play coming up at Skidmore, How to Correct a Woman's Wrongs, How to Write. I'm mangling
Interesting title.
I'm mangling that title. And we were talking about, have you ever done a guest artist or a college production?
No.
No? And have you gone back? I also did a Sienna production with Sean Baldwin and Ryan Davis and a bunch of people of the Snow Queen at Sienna, directed by Jeff Musso.
Oh,
yeah.
I love Jeff. He was at SUNY Albany when I was there.
Right. Yeah, and he now runs Ankrum Opera House with Paul Riccardi.
I think I learned more about acting from Jeff than any of my other professors.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like taking his classes. You know, he took it really seriously, and I appreciated that. And it was difficult material. I took acting Shakespeare with him, and I took acting 3, which was focused on Ibsen and Chekhov. It was difficult material to work with, and you know, he expected you to do the work, and he let you know if you didn't do enough work, and it was great for me. I loved it. Yeah.
Awesome. I was telling someone I taught at Albany for a semester, and it was kind of like jobbed in like at the last minute. I don't know what happened to the teacher who was assigned this, and I had 3 Acting 101 courses with like 55 students. And some of them were not so serious. And I was like, I think they took acting because they thought it would be easy.
Right?
And I'm like, you have to memorize this. And you have to get up in front of your peers. And, why? I would think chemistry is easy. You don't have to get up,
Talk.
I think fear of public speaking is the number one fear, but crazy.
I did a guest lecture at SUNY Albany.
Oh, yes?
It was a one, Angela Ledke, who just worked
Yes.
with you. She asked me to come in just to talk to her intro to theater students about, acting and stuff like that.
Fun.
This is a number of years ago, but yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, I did that with Sandy Dollinger at St. Rose. Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah. And critique their monologues yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, getting college students into the community and getting the community into the college. Do you think it's worthwhile? Would you like to see more of it? What would you like?
I mean, I would love to see more, young people in our community. And we chatted very briefly before we started about, the lack of, set designers maybe.
Yeah.
So if you can get young people who are interested in the technical side of theater,
Right.
that would be amazing. Because that's always, having directed shows, you're always scrambling sometimes to find a certain tech position because the person you thought you were going to get suddenly isn't available anymore. So you're kind of
in demand.
right, because there's only 2 or 3 different people for each
Right.
position.
And there's a lot of work that goes into
yeah.
the Miss Havisham ship.
Yes.
But they have classes that have students. There's student labor force
Yeah.
that builds these things.
I was one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. You were in like John Knapp? was
Yeah,
that
John Knapp, yeah.
Tech director? Mm-hmm. And you built sets for the productions on the main stage?
Yeah. Helped, I mean.
Yeah. No. But, a class of whatever.
I did lighting mostly. I was part of the light team. I ran Spotlight for Cabaret when SUNY Albany did Cabaret. That was a lot of fun.
Excellent.
Heavy Spotlight show.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great. So let's talk about your current projects.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Colleen is deep into it.
I am.
You open
November 17th.
November 17th with The Sound Inside by Adam Rapp. Tell us what The Sound Inside is.
The Sound Inside is a story about and told by a Yale University creative writing professor, and her relationship with a student. So I'll kind of leave it at that, without giving too much away. But it's it's a very, I don't want to say it's a literary play, meaning you have to be immersed in literature. It's
No.
When you study the play, I saw it when it premiered, I think, at Williamstown Theater Festival with Mary Louise Parker. Talk about like shoes to fill, but it's and I loved it, and I found it mesmerizing. Reading it, I realize what an ode to the novel it is. It's written in chapters. It's about she is a novelist. Her student is writing a novel, and so there's a lot of I think commentary in there about writing, and she talks about different authors and things like that. So it's very rich from that point of view, but accessible. It's not like weird references or anything like that. Anyway, so and what else I can tell you about it is that we learned pretty early on in the play that she's been given a cancer diagnosis. So the play is about this time in her life when she has this illness, and she's has this relationship with the student, and that all of that
Yes.
all of that in a bag of chips now. So we got to talk with Joe Dalton about it. He interviewed
great.
us. There'll be a article coming out in the preview, I think, before
Excellent.
we
Great.
open. And some of the themes we mentioned, that it's really a play about isolation to some extent, and loneliness, and mental health.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really good.
Fantastic.
And that's just a 2-character play, right?
Characters, yeah.
And Russell Roberts is
Russell
the other
Roberts is-
character.
Yep. I play Bella
you.
Baird, and Russell Roberts plays Christopher Dunn.
And it's directed by Aaron Holbritter.
Aaron Holbritter, yes.
Have you been directed by Aaron?
No, and it's been a great experience. Yeah, he's really, really talented.
Yeah, he and Casey
Yep.
Polamain, his producing partner behind Creative License, who are the dramatic resident theater company at Cahoe's Music Hall
Exactly.
for the past 3 years,
it's been that
and and I think Creative License is celebrating its 10th anniversary.
Yeah. Wow.
And time flies.
Are old.
I was the first person to donate money to that company.
Wasn't there a deal?
Oh yeah. I got a free ticket to all their shows, but that ended recently. Which I got 10 years out of it, so I think I made up for the $50 I gave them.
Excellent. At $50 went a long way. Fantastic. Great. You said something about being able to talk to Joe Dalton, who is one of our arts journalists, writes for the Times Union. And it's funny. I love doing interviews. One, the opportunity to promote your play, which is sort of the reason why I started this podcast. But it also, I learn about the play by having to explain it and by having to talk about it, and I find that if I have to do an interview, I have to concisely state what happens in the play and what the themes are.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I've used that in class, and sometimes you're short on time. I need you to tell me what this scene's about in one sentence.
Right.
And it forces you to,
to describe it concisely
right.
without giving away the ending or major plot points.
Right. I think it's important. It's important as an actor. Mm-hmm. I mean, when we come up with objectives, we don't want things like, well, in this scene, I'm kind of gonna, touch base with everyone on stage. It's sort of like I'm going to come in and wreak havoc. What you're doing has to be, right in your forefront of your mind.
I don't remember who said it, but I think it was at SUNY Albany. One of my professors said, your character doesn't just do something.
Right.
The word just.
Right.
I'm just going to go in and da-da-da-da. No. You're going to go in and you're going to do the thing.
Yeah.
In the sound inside, it's like, it's just so much, there's a lot of monologuing that happens, as we were talking about earlier. And it's like, my character's just telling this story, but
right.
she's not.
Right.
There's a sort of like, with each monologue, there's like a hierarchy of objectives.
Yeah.
I think that this process has sort of shown me that, and I think it's particularly with this play because you're telling the story. Well, how does she feel about this that she's saying? What does it mean in the context of this overall timeline?
Has to be.
She's giving, yeah.
Right, has to be. Why is this monologue there, and why are we? Why did the playwright put it there? What purpose is it serving?
Right.
And we have to assume that it's serving a purpose, that it is a good play.
Right.
Right.
Regardless, but we have to assume
Right.
that it is a good play and that there is a reason for everything to be there.
And when you do that work as an actor, you get to show everybody that it's a good play.
Right.
Because and I do really think this is a good play. The structure of it and the way it's told, and an interesting characteristic of the play is that there's monologues and then there's dialogue scenes. So my character talks to the other character and then to the audience, and sometimes in the same breath.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun.
I tell him this, and then she tells him something else in addition as a continuation of the thought, but it's a shifted focus.
That's
so
wonderful.
It's very interesting. Gives it a very interesting narrative quality. Yeah. So.
And it shows off your skill.
We hope so.
Yeah, sure.
I think it's so it's so important to get that. So when you're an actor, you look at the little pictures, the moment to moment, beat by beat stuff, because you're spontaneous and you're in the moment. Sometimes it's hard to lose track of the bigger picture of the material, and starting to direct helped me figure out that big picture thing. Because as a director, you look at the play from beginning to end, whereas an actor might say, "This is my section of this play, so I'm going to focus in on this."
Right.
Whereas you as the director, you say, how does what they do here impact what happens here?
Yep.
And where does the change occur and stuff like that?
Right. Yeah, if you look at, when I look at the story of the play, those are definitely things that Erin has brought us through. It's like, well, if you read, you look at the ending, she already knows all of this at the beginning. So what is she, so how does that inform how you deliver this?
So when I directed Buried Child a couple months ago at Albany Civic, we had Amber Acosta, who was one of my actors, who's great. I know you worked with her character when we first started doing the play. She was doing it great, and the objectives were there, and everything was nothing was wrong about it, but me as a director saying, where does she start and where does the character end? I said, we kind of have to, I wanted to see some kind of change. So I told her, I had her try one night at rehearsal to just be a little bit snarky. Her character's from LA. I said, let me see some of that LA at the beginning of the show, because we end the show on her side, and she's our favorite character at the end of the show. So I said, maybe we don't like you at the beginning, and then you kind of win us over. And she thought about it, and she said, okay, let's try it. And then we did it. And she picked it up right away. She gave one of my favorite performances in the show. And I think that helped, that kind of bigger picture. Where do we start? Where do we end? Yep.
Yeah.
And then you'll get to the individual stuff after that.
Right. I used to introduce in class, you start somewhere, something happens, and you end up somewhere else. And we started talking about status this week, of high or low status. What is your character, and where do they change, and what do they end up with? Yeah. And, how do you present low status, or what is high status? And we had a great discussion about that, and to see, transformation and change.
And making moments special. Like, when I directed The Heiress a couple years ago, Rob Weber's character, Dr. Sloper, he's this powerful figure, and he's rich, and he's in charge of everything. So I didn't want to see moments of weakness in his character until the very end, because then once you see it, whoa, we haven't seen this yet. Right. Now it's a moment. Whereas if you see it throughout the play, it lessens the impact as you see one big moment of weakness. So that's the other thing to keep in mind. Keep those moments special, the status of your character versus my character, where we are. And status can change throughout a scene, throughout a monologue,
Absolutely.
Yeah. I have a young woman, 17 years old, Amelie Knox, who is fantastic. She's been with me for a couple of years, and she's doing the line in winter. Alice.
Alice. That's how I say
it. We were talking about whatever century it's in, 13th century. And, what would they be doing in their bedroom? Did they have, makeup, hair, what was the routine at the vanity? And, you can't just assume that because she's a princess, she didn't do things that you do.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you have to, bring your own humanity to whatever, high status that this character might be, but trying to figure that out as well. Current projects. Evan, you just got through with Buried Child. What are you working on?
Right after Buried Child, my dear friend David Rook asked me if I wanted to assistant direct for him. He's directing The Father at Schenectady Civic Players that Colleen is actually just got cast in.
My next project.
So I'm helping David with that. I feel like I'm more. This is David's first time directing his own play. He co-directed How I Learned to Drive with me last year when.
Yes.
Various circumstances, I had to go on stage, so I kind of gave the show to him for the last couple of weeks. And he stepped up and he gave great direction. I'm very confident that he will be a very, very good director. So I'm just there to kind of help him with those things. I've told people I feel like I'm more of a consultant than an assistant director. I'm there, maybe next time you give notes, maybe try this way. So much of directing is figuring out the people you're working with. And, I might not necessarily give you notes the same way I give Colleen notes because you take these notes in a certain way and you take your notes better in an email where you want it to be more demonstrative or something like that. So that's kind of what I'm going to help David with. He's a very smart guy, and I'm sure I'll just be sitting there and pass him a note every once in a while, but he's very sharp. So The Father, which is next January, I think.
Yeah. End of January?
End of January, I believe. And then, just general Albany Civic Theater business, Half-Life of Marie Curie, which you promoted on the last episode. Thank you. Opens December 1st and runs for 3 weekends.
And then you have Play It Again, Sam?
Yes. I'll be directing my own show at Schenectady Civic Players next May, which is Play It Again, Sam by Woody Allen, which is the exact opposite of the last couple shows I've done, Buried Child and How I Learned to Drive. So let's make a little...
Lighten up a bit.
Lighten up, have some people laugh. Very funny play.
From the 70s.
1969, I think.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I think so.
Yes, and play selection. Are you on the committee?
Yes.
Or?
I'm as president. I'm on the committee, but I'm not. I have basically I have veto power.
Right.
But we do have our committee, and we just sent out the call for submissions. Yep. So if you're subscribed to Captist emails, you'll see it there. We'll post it on the Albany Civic Facebook as well.
And Albany Civic Theater looks for directors submitting plays that they want to direct, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So if there's a play that you're interested in that you want Albany Civic Theater to consider with you directing, you would submit it to them.
Absolutely.
For consideration in their 2024-25 season.
And we've already got one play for our next season.
Yes, we do. Harbinger is very happy to be co-producing with Albany Civic Theater and taking a spot on their schedule. Maggie May is next September, directed by Chris Foster.
Which we're very excited about. We love Chris.
Yeah. He's great. We love Chris.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's going to be, and it's the United States premiere. I can't believe it.
Oh.
Yeah. Second Avenue in Albany is going to have the U.S. premiere of this fantastic play. I can't understand how no one else has snapped this up. It's a play about a woman, a couple in Yorkshire, and she is succumbing to dementia, and she remembers the songs that she met her husband with, which are old Rod Stewart songs like Maggie.
I thought that's what that was. It would be like
yes.
Rod Stewart song.
Yes, so it's a very touching and hopeful, examination of this illness, which affects all of us.
Yeah.
I know my mother went through quite a few years of dementia, and
That's what the father's about as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's very tough. And we're all, of a certain age where our parents or loved ones, we know this topic of caregiving firsthand. And which brings us to Harbinger's season, which is something I've been working on. Sent out a press release this week. Besides Maggie May, we're opening this season with In the Blood, which has auditions next week, directed by T.J. Collins. It's a Suzanne Laurie Parks play. It's a great play about, it's a take on The Scarlet Letter, and it has Hester as a unhoused woman living under a bridge with her 5 children. And the 5 children also play the adults in her life. The Reverend Dimsdale character, Welfare, her first lover, and all the ways in which society has interfered or afflicted her. It's a great theatrical play that's In the Blood. And then we are doing The Squirrels, which I'm directing, which is sort of a socioeconomic look at a family of squirrels who wants to hold on to all their nuts.
Wow.
Yes, the gray squirrel.
Euripides would write.
Yes, and the gray squirrels come knocking on the door, and can we have some nuts? Maggie May is in September, and then we're closing out the season with Into the Breaches, which is by George Brandt, and it's a fun play about a woman in Rhode Island who, during World War II, her husband's off fighting the Axis, and she takes over his theater company and stages an all-woman Henry V.
Oh,
Awesome.
excellent.
Yeah.
That's really fun.
So a lot of fun backstage and empowering, fun theatrical comedy to close out next season. And for the first time, we're doing a Flex subscription. You can buy 4 tickets for $50. You can email harbingertheateralbany.com and ask about that deal. 4 tickets for $50.
It's a great deal.
It is good.
$12.50.
Yeah, really.
That's a great deal. And you guys do great work, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had we loved our year this year. Brian Sheldon reached out to me yesterday because I was not getting on the nominee bandwagon, and Brian Sheldon is all over it. Because we had collaborated on Dig, which was done at Sand Lake, Mother Effer with the Hat, which was done at Albany Civic Theater, directed by Brian, and then his play, Custom Cuts.
Yeah.
It was just an extraordinary year for Brian and for Harbinger, and very proud of it. With or without our Broadway World nomination.
Right.
After the success of Mofo at Albany Civic, I knew we need to work with these people. They do great work. They bring people in. A lot of people that might not usually come to Albany Civic Theater. We had full houses for Mofo, which is great.
I mean, and that's a great topic too. These collaborations. It seems newer to me. Because we have so many theaters popping up. That have popped up, that it's such a great way to cross-pollinate.
It's a difficult thing to negotiate. We've attempted it with a number of theaters, and we're still open and trying, and we're friends with everyone. But it doesn't always work out, and sometimes you hit some resistance. And Albany Civic Theater wasn't the smoothest, you have some hiccups. Brian and I have been collaborating for 5 years. I mean, we started with Men on Boats, with my acting class.
Right.
So it's been a while. for us to work together and to come up, and it hasn't, there have been hiccups and, when we couldn't do admissions out there because of a positive test, a positive COVID test, and then Harbinger picked it up and brought it to Albany Barn. There have been times when we had to, work through some strife, but it's all worthwhile when you can build audiences and when you can build each other up and support each other. We all go to each other's shows to begin with. So, and we all work in each other's theaters,
Yeah.
So it just
Makes sense.
We want
be able
to raise all boats.
yeah, right. The rising tide. All right. Now we're at the question.
The question.
The question. The play that changed your life. And this can be in any manner of speaking. It could be a play you saw last night. Could be, the one that convinced you had space on the stage. Colleen, are you ready?
I think I am. I mean, I'm sure I could think of a couple of plays, but when I got to do Emily du Châtelet, Emily, the Marquise du Châtelet, defends her life tonight. That was my dream role. I had learned about it because Wham had auditions. Obviously, I didn't get cast in the Wham version.
Did you audition for it?
I auditioned.
Awesome.
And I completely fell in love with that play.
Yeah.
I got to do it at Confetti, and I was just like, actually, I was sort of, in my mind, I was like, if I never do another play after this, I'm set. Of course, that doesn't happen.
It's a nice thought.
It's a nice thought, but it's like, okay. I was able, it was like a real,
Very satisfying.
very satisfying, and just proof that if you're passionate about something, a particular role, you can make that happen, and I don't think, when I auditioned for it at Wham, I don't think I would have been ready to play it,
Yeah.
because I don't even remember what happened in the intervening years, but my life changed a lot, and you just sometimes a character, you're really ready to play that character.
Yeah.
And I think for me it was very special because when I came to acting, it was a way, because growing up I did mostly dance, and then as an older teen, I kind of left that behind and got more intellectual, in my head, and theater brought all of that back together for me. And this was a show about a scientist, and so it was there was real substance there, and so to play, I like to play intelligent women, and it was just, it's sort of like the marriage of everything I value all in one.
Awesome.
Big buzz for me.
Excellent. Did you have anything to do with it being scheduled at Confetti?
I might have suggested that they do
Yes.
it. They
Yes.
were looking for plays with featuring strong women. So I said,
Awesome.
read this, and yes, I will audition for it because I want to. If you do it, I want to be in it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, and it was done by Wham. Kim Stauffer
Yep.
did it. Yeah. Was Eileen Schuyler in it?
I don't think so. I think maybe Joan Coombs.
Joan Coombs, yes. And Oliver Wadsworth, yes.
I don't know.
He played Bottom in Caprep's Midsummer. He's a fantastic actor. Yeah. Awesome. Evan?
Well, similar to what Colleen said, for the longest time, for the last decade, my dream role was Don in American Buffalo. And I finally got to do it this past May at Albany Civic Theater with David Rook and Anthony Holloway, who are two of my favorite people, let alone two of my favorite actors. Linda Shirey directed it, which is my first time working with Linda. and I had it was a very difficult. It's a very difficult show, but it was all worth it. You know, looking back at it now, it's the most proud I've been of any performance I've given, and it changed my life because right after that, I decided to join Actors Equity, and I said, you know, if this is the last play that I do, I can live with that. You know, it meant that much to me. Hopefully, it's not the last play that I do, and you know, I've directed since then. But
I saw that you posted that you joined the union and said, "If this is the last play I do," so it was sort of like, is that what happens when you join a union?
well, no, but you know, the pool becomes much larger. You know, and you know, around here, there's not nearly as many opportunities for equity actors than there are, you know, in like New York City, for example. So, you know, I said, you know, I'm still around, obviously, but, you know, and I've wanted to join the union since I graduated college, and the opportunity was just not there for me. So now I did it, and I said, you know, if I didn't do it now, I was never going to do it. And it's something I've wanted for a decade.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
It's great.
So, you know, American Buffalo is the play. It changed my life when I read it, and I finally got to do it, and it changed my life again. So
Awesome. So here's the question. In the Broadway world, nominations, both American Buffalo and Very Child are nominated, I would assume.
Yeah.
So who did you vote for?
Well, I voted for me, actor, for American Buffalo.
No. What play did you vote for?
American Buffalo.
Oh,
I can say it.
you hear that?
I loved working.
Harry Maggio.
I loved working with Barry Child, and working with the actors. It was great.
I'm just having some fun.
No, I'm okay. I'll talk about it. I'm an open book. You know that. But yeah, I voted for Buffalo.
Excellent. So this is our third episode. I've already selected a couple of plays that changed my life. I don't really know. You guys both said a play that if I never act again, which struck a chord. What play, if I never acted again, I'm satisfied? I keep coming back. I saw it recently. I saw a speech listed from The Real Thing, which had a bunch of speeches. And I just think Tom Stoppard was on fire with this play. He had like 4 speeches that were just so genius. You know, his comparison of writing to cricket, where if you hit it the right way, if you put the words together in the right way, you can make a sound like a cricket bat hitting a ball. And if you put them in the right order, it can be like a speech that can be said at your death, and just awesome things to speak. I just looked forward to having these words in my mouth every night and appearing that smart and creative,
Right, exactly.
loving.
Yeah.
You know,
Enjoying that about Sound Inside too. It's like, oh, I'm actually getting to talk like this. You know?
Yeah. I say that in class. Pick a speech that makes you feel, you know, exalted. Yeah. You know, like I wish I spoke like this. Right. You know, and at the end of the play, people would come up and go, "Oh man, you know, you must be exhausted." I was like, I want to do it again. I want to say those. Yeah. That was a nice warm up. Now let's do it again. Right. And I had I was down at the Strand bookstore in the Lower East Side, and they had copies of The Real Thing on sale, and I bought like 10 of them. I don't know why, but then people would compliment me like, those speeches. I wish I could read it. I would send it off in the mail. I would like, here you go.
Here you go.
Yeah, it's one of those plays that, you know, you just feel like I want to live inside that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you reading that backstage during Great Expectations at SUNY Albany, because you were about to go into that.
That's great. Thank you. I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading Dickens when I was backstage at Wonderful Life in Cahoe's Music Hall. I remember that. I was like preparing for the next one.
And I also just want to say, on the record, your performance in Destroying David is one of the best I've ever seen anywhere.
That's not nominated, is it?
I don't know. That might have been last
That
year.
was a couple of years ago.
But I honestly mean that
Thank you.
with no
Evan.
with no hyperbole. I thought your performance in that was top notch. And maybe it was just the point in my life that I was at that material just sang to me, but it floored me.
It's funny. Thank you so much. It means so much to me. It's funny. We were talking beforehand about memorizing. That was the hardest job I ever had, of memorizing, and I had to like block it out. And we're also talking about caring for, people with dementia. My mother was dying the week that we were going up with that, and I would be running home and portioning out this time to memorize this, page of dialogue, or going out to Loudonville to be with my mother while she was in hospice, and it was a crazy period. And there were times, when I was doing it, like, don't let it go, don't let it go,
Right.
because
They're so essential. It becomes such an essential part of our lives that you think you're like, oh, we can't do this. Like, nobody. Well, COVID has changed that a little bit, where you have to cancel things, but it's like, no, you just.
But that's when you have to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And Destroying David, Jason Odell Williams, the playwright, has such a wonderful, it was such a testament to art, and to holding on to art and getting through grief, and getting through loss with art.
Yep.
Yeah, it was beautiful. So that is our podcast for today. And I hope you hold on to your art and join us again for the play that changed your life. Colleen Lovett, Evan Jones, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll see you both in a theater soon.